among the shadowed peaks of the Zealand Sulphur Marsh. A lone mountain stands perpetually shrouded in mist. Mount Ju. Within this very mist, a pair of crimson eyes flicker in the shadows of the trees. This is no common nocturnal creature. It is the Ju bird, shaped like an owl. Its feathers are layered like rusted sheets of iron. But its most terrifying feature is its talons. They are not the hooked claws of a raptor, but human hands with 5 distinct fingers. This pair of hand-like claws can effortlessly crush the skull of a rock rat. When it hunts, it does not dive from the heavens like a hawk, but glides swiftly, hugging the earth. As the last iron-gray feather vanishes into the mists of the river Ying, there is no cry of despair, no forewarning. Only the primeval contest for survival plays out once more. 450 li to the southeast, the land is steeped in a different kind of terror. Welcome to Mount Changfu. Here not a single blade of grass grows, nor a single leaf. Gullies carved by the rain scar the land like festering wounds. And a putrid sludge oozes from cracks in the rock. But more terrifying than the desolation is the wail that echoes through the mountain. The Changfu resembles an ape, yet it is neither ape nor monkey. Its pallid face is devoid of color. Its 4 ears are as sharp as blades. The classic of mountains and seas states that its appearance foretells a great flood. This is no idle tale. These keen auditory organs can detect the faintest sound from 100 li away. When it rushes to the summit and lets out its premonitory howl, a torrent is already on its way. The relentless floods ensure that no plant can ever take root here. The scattered debris of the mountainside is carried by a subterranean river, 340 li to the east. Here lies Mount Yaogong. Its surface is a network of chasms as if hewn by a colossal axe, 1,000,000 times over. Wasps drone from within the crevices, their buzzing a dense incantatory hum. There are no babbling brooks here, only the scratchings of rock rats scurrying through holes. And deep within the earth, 100 meters down, a pair of sorrowful pupils opening in the absolute darkness. The Huahua is awake. It is the sole sovereign of Mount Yaoguang. A slumber of more than 100 days and nights made its body more slender. This is not weakness. It is a form of survival bestowed by evolution. A long, thin body is better suited for navigating narrow crevices. A passage to the southeast. From there, the rustling sound of rock rats gnawing on roots can be heard. This will be the Huahuai's first blood meal after awakening. The Huahuai requires a great number of rock rats to replenish the energy spent during its long hibernation. But the strongest of the rock rats have already fled eastward. Their tracks cross 350 li of wasteland, finally disappearing before the boundary of a certain mountain. There are no natural predators there, only a deeper despair. Mount Yu has arrived. No rock rat can survive here. Its gray-brown body, like that of a giant tortoise, lies prostrate in the center of a great marsh, besieged on all sides by turbid yellow floodwaters. The thunderous crash of waves against its rock face is ceaseless day and night. The exposed rock strata at the summit, like a spine lashed 1,000,000 times by a whip. The classic of mountains and seas states it has much water. Its fate sealed by rock. This mountain is a prisoner of the flood. Every inch of its stone surface is crumbling. Rainwater pours into the earth through its fissures, carving out subterranean rivers like giant serpents. When the water pressure tears the rock strata apart, the entire mountain groans like a dying old ox. Mud mixed with gravel spews from its orifices, forming grotesque grasping hands in the air. The ancients called this a spontaneous act of fury. In truth, it is the dying convulsion of the rock itself. Continuing east for 770 li, we reach Mount Junyu. Its grayish-green body like rusted stone, a millennia-old bronze cauldron inverted upon the earth. The rock surface is covered in cracks like a tortoise shell. Under the scorching sun, the exposed jade mines seep a waxy pale white. Every reflection is like a rusted needle piercing the pupil. The blazing heat of day sweats fine beads from the jade ore. The extreme cold of midnight shatters it into frost-like crystals. The tortoise shell-like ice cracks, expanding like a spider's web in the moonlight. In this moment, the coldness takes form. Under the cover of night, journeying eastward, indifference creeps along the folds of the earth's veins, sweeping past the cracked rock salt. Advancing 500 li, upon passing through a patch of mist, the air suddenly becomes viscous. Mount Fuyu has arrived. There is none of the deathly stillness of Mount Junyu here. Damp water vapor lingers all year round. The dark currents deep within the rock fissures glint coldly in the moonlight. The classic of mountains and seas states, the Tiao River flows from its shaded side, but it fails to mention, the water of this mountain is alive. Every ripple conceals a deadly intent. The Zhi, tyrant of Mount Fuyu. It moves like a ferocious tiger, yet it has the long tail of a wild ox. Its pupils emit a faint dark glow in the shadows. This is not the gaze of a wild beast. It is the measure of a butcher sizing up flesh and blood. When its throat vibrates, what emerges is not the roar of a tiger, but the screeching sound of a butcher sharpening his knife. Its jaw possesses an immense crushing force. The spine of a sun gazelle shatters instantly. The tips of its steel-like bristles are snagged with fibers of burlap. That is from 3 days prior, from a woodcutter who trespassed in the swamp, the last trace he left in this world. In the depths of the Tiao River on Mount Fuyu hides the most silent creature of the classic of mountains and seas, the G-fish. When moonlight pierces the water's surface, their silver scales like 10,000 blades cleave the dark current. Their long, narrow bodies are like willow leaves dipped in ink. Their skulls are as sharp as a brush tip. They leave almost no trace as they pierce the water. When the school of fish swims upstream, their silver scales close up like a sheathed sword. As the last G-fish disappears into the deep pool, the cold light reflected from its scales points 500 li to the east. Leaving Mount Fuyu and heading due east for 500 li, one arrives at Mount Cheng. The forces of heaven and earth have sculpted the mountain rock into a regular four-sided platform, a natural three-tiered altar, stacking from the foot of the mountain to its peak. Veins of jade ore reflect a brilliant light from the exposed rock layers. The vein of malachite at the mountain's foot seems to perform magic. On a clear day, it is dark green. On an overcast day, it glows blue. If you chisel it open with a steel pick, the colored layers inside are like the growth rings of an old tree. Grinding this malachite into powder produces a precious ancient dye. From Mount Cheng heading east for 2,400 li, the long winds blow, crossing the swift currents of Mount Guiji. The wind and sand of Mount Yi have worn the rocks into pale bone fragments. Passing through the mountain range of Mount Fugu and the valley of Mount Shanyan. The Rift Valley is like an old scar torn open upon the earth. Let us continue our migration. The first echo of the mountains comes from this waterfall. The rushing water plunges from a cliff 100 jang high. The white mist stirred up as it crashes into the deep pool never dissipates. The classic of mountains and seas calls it the Zun River. The dark marks on the cliff face are the growth rings carved by the water over a millennium eye. Deep within the mountain forest, the second classic of the South chronicles a beast that defies all logic. It resembles an ordinary mountain goat, yet it uniquely lacks an organ that all living creatures possess. It has no mouth. Ancient texts describe it as shaped like a ram, a phrase that has posed a riddle for millennia. Look where its lips and teeth should be. There is not a single fold, no fissure. But when you gaze into those blue eyes, you will find your own reflection within them, being dissected by countless fine crystalline threads. That is the projection of the mountain's ley lines, and the truth of how it cannot be killed. In the shallow pools of the Sun River, fist-sized snail shells are being polished by the fine sand. Their purple shells are covered with a net-like golden pattern. When the sun shines, the entire riverbed shimmers with a dreamlike luster. As the last ray of twilight sweeps past the mountain's flank, the Huan silhouette has merged with the color of the evening haze. For 3,000 years, it has remained the silent heartbeat of the mountain From the Zun River heading east for 400 li is Mount Hushao, its southern ridges long and sloping. The Tang River rushes from here into the sea. 500 li further east, the desolate Mount Ku exposes its spine of sand and stone. The Lu River quietly flows south, ultimately joining the endless abyss. This mountain, where not a blade of grass grows, exposes its pale gray rock bones, perpetually shrouded in a rust-colored mist. The waters of Zhejiang cascade down from the peak. Within the sound of the water is mingled the faint cry of a wailing infant. It is the man-eating beast recorded in the classic of mountains and seas, the Gudiao, awakening in the abyss. Look at the claw marks on the cliff face. 3 feet long, gouging deep into the rock's marrow. The Gudiao's sharp claws carry a natural copper poison. Any rock layer it scratches will not grow any vegetation for 100 years. Look at the serrations on the inside of its hooked beak. Each serration holds the undigested fragments of bone. The truth behind the ancient records of its infant-like cry is revealed here. The folds in its throat can precisely mimic the human voice. After the sound reflects off the rock walls, it can lure prey from as far as 30 li away to their doom. Now 500 li to the east, on the coast of the East Sea, Mount Qiwu exposes the pale white skeleton of its quartzite rock. This mountain, recorded in the classic of mountains and seas as abundant vegetation stones, reveals in the morning tide the rugged strangeness of the primordial era. In the second classic of the South, from Mount Gui to Mount Qiwu, a chain of 17 mountains stretches for 7,200 li. The gods of these mountains all possess the body of a dragon and the hands of a bird spirit, their bones chalcedony. Their bird-like hands stand proudly at the frontier of the four spirits' patrol. Their 2 eyes like fists, their cries like thunder. This is the most ancient totem of the primordial era, and also the messenger through which the mountains converse with the heavens.